Welcome to the Regular Guys Show. I'm your host, Tucker O'Reilly.
And I'm Jamal Jackson.
And today we're going to rehash our last conversation. I remember you saying something about that Trump and Russia investigation was all brought up with the Clintons and the Obamas and all that. And it's a Democratic thing against Trump, which I'm going to completely debunk it right now. And I'm going to tell you why.
All right, go for it.
Trump was under these investigations because he is the only sitting president in modern history that cozied up to Putin, cozied up to a dictator, cozied up to our enemy.
Yeah.
And he did.
Trying to not be more enemy.
Who cares about that? Enemies are enemies. But I'm going to tell you what. Trump had business interests in Moscow. He had a Trump Tower he was trying to build in Moscow. During the time of his election, around 2015, he was in a deal to get a Trump Tower or a hotel or some kind of resort built in Moscow, okay? And once he got elected, that stuff slowed up. So that was a lot of the investigation. He had money interests with our enemies who were under sanctions at the time, who've been under sanctions for years. And guess what he did about the sanctions? He softened them. Cozied up to him. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he also softened his stance on things that Russia was doing, like invading Crimea, which is Ukraine. And guess what? He did nothing about it. He never said one thing.
Because he wasn't the president.
Hold up. He was the president. When he came in office, he could have said something about it.
Russia invaded Crimea in 2014 under Barack Obama.
And they didn't take over it fully until 2017.
They had it invaded.
We can look it up. We can look it up. Now stop Googling stuff because we're talking off the cusp now, all right? So don't even try it. You can come back and try to debunk what I'm saying next.
Google his sanctions because he did not soften Russian sanctions.
Whatever. He still was cozied up to the guy.
Because he's trying to not make us more enemies.
Why? But he wants to make enemies with everybody else. He made enemies within his country.
Have you never heard the phrase "keep your friends close, but your enemies closer"? That's how you establish peace, is by trying to.
And you don't remember the United States doing that?
Stuff.
You don't remember all the years before Trump, the United States actually doing that? You remember they went from the USSR to Russia. It became a democratic country, a so-called democratic country.
I know, but
he had rigged elections where he won like 80% of the vote. And Trump congratulated him on his false rigged elections, which he had nobody to run against, so how can you have an election when we know he didn't have any competitors?
Because that's right.
I'm just saying, but our president congratulated him, called him up like they're buddies, and congratulated him on his election. The enemy of democracy, the enemy of the United States of America, he called our enemy and congratulated him on his election results. After it's been a fact that Russia interfered with our election process through the internet, social media, whatever, you can say that all you want.
So false.
And he still cozied up to him, okay? He cozied up to him. All the while, he's bad talking every country around the world that aren't enemies to the United States. Called all these African countries S-hole countries. You remember that? He talked bad about Puerto Rico. That's almost a state in this country. They're a commonwealth. Talked bad about them. Didn't even want to help them when they had the hurricane.
Oh, man, dude.
He divided the country completely in half from the crazies to the non-crazies. And the non-crazies were against him, trust me.
But you got to remember, almost every country is a dump hole.
Well, I'm starting to think that this country is. Because
it's surely getting there.
We vote in people like Trump.
You know
just want to destroy our country.
See, but
rather than
always Trump.
I don't like Trump.
How about we talk about your new president?
That ain't my president.
How about his dealings with Russia?
Who's my new president?
Once again, so Russia invades Crimea under Obama.
It was 2017 when they took over.
And then invades Ukraine under Biden. Now, I know everybody's always, Russia and Ukraine. I actually do want your thoughts on what you think about Russia and the Ukraine, because here's something I'm sure we can find common ground on.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact.
Oh, you're gonna be shocked by my response.
I can't remember the exact number, but I believe that the Ukraine is asking for another $44 billion.
They are, and he's gonna.
And they're probably gonna get it.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous.
Well, this is what I'm gonna say.
That's the kind of stuff people need to be talking about. Is that we don't need to be giving all this money to Ukraine.
I'm all for it. You know what I want them to get money for, but I ain't gonna say it today. We're gonna talk about that another day. All right. But this is what I say about Ukraine and Russia. I could care less. I hope they blow each other off the map. That's another European type country that's decimated and no longer exists. For all I care, it doesn't have to be a Russia in this world or a Ukraine. They are not useful to the United States at all, period, point blank. So I
Really
kind of
not.
hope they both nuke each other and just wipe each other off the map, and probably a bunch of my other asshole, and a bunch of those other asshole countries up in those cold climates over there.
Yeah, a lot better than the crappy countries down there in the
Yeah, whatever.
down there towards the hot heat.
Yeah, but I'm just
So
saying.
is this all you want this episode to be? You bash Trump, I'll bash Obama. You say that European countries suck, I'll say Africa sucks.
It is a debate show, but as far as the war, I understand why we're on the side of Ukraine, because they invaded a sovereign country, and that's like a no-no around the world. You don't just invade invade and say, I'm taking this country as mine.
Because
that's what they're doing.
Because like I told you before, if America would do nothing, everyone would give us flack about it. And then if America does something, everybody's going to give us flack about it.
Well, we're the world leaders.
A no-win. But that's the thing. When we play world police, they whine and cry. And then when we don't play world police, they whine and cry.
Well, somebody's going to whine and cry regardless. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a Republican. we know that.
You misspoke. You misspoke Republican. You meant to say Democrat or liberal.
Yeah. You know what, though? Honestly, I think...
You're being kind of aggressive this episode.
Well, honestly...
I remember being nice. I even reminded myself to not... I was like, man, don't call Tucker a liberal. He doesn't like it, and you're just coming out guns punching and stuff.
You're the one sitting there bringing up asshole countries and talking about Ukraine and Russia.
That was because you started all the other nonsense.
Well, anyways, honestly, I believe that the Democrats are actually Republicans in disguise.
Oh, see, I think the Republicans are Democrats.
Well, I say that is because of this. All the years that I've been on this earth, and I noticed that we've had a Democratic president, okay? I noticed that they never pass any policies that favor Democratic policies or, policies for the people that vote them in. It's always something leaning towards the right that they rush through.
Like what?
LGBTQ,
that ain't leaning towards the right.
Come on,
better get out of here with that junk.
Republicans are gay. What are you talking about?
Most conservatives are highly
undercover in the closet. Yeah,
I don't want no
that's
alphabet
true.
soup.
I'm going to tell you why. Senate has the majority Republican.
Oh my gosh!
House has majority Republican, and they pass all this alphabet
and
people
flips
stuff
every 2 years.
Well, we need
stuff,
to hurry up and flip it back.
The alphabet stuff was all under Democratic policy. Same with the gay marriage, alphabet soup rights.
The gay marriage is a conservative policy that was passed during the conservative.
No, it was not. It was a Democrat House of Democrats.
Yeah, it was the Obama administration, but it was voted on by the Republicans, who had all the control to say no. Who had all the control to say no, and it would have been done to that.
Because they are Democrats in disguise. They're weak. They're cowardly.
That's what I say about all of them.
They have no courage. They have no backbone, and they're frail. The second you bring up, you have offended me, then they'll back down, because we come to such a sensitive little baby world that you can't offend anybody. So instead of standing
let me ask you a question that's not anything to do with this.
They just back down from it.
Why are you so adamant about offending people?
You know what?
Why
man?
are you so adamant about, like Republicans
Because-
say, about people getting offended? But why do
Because
you
the-
want
the-
to offend people?
Because the world that is happening now, the way
Mhm.
everyone's turning into, I mean, dude, some of the talks we've had, man,
Yeah.
dude, it's getting to the point to where we need to offend people. Because here's what happens. This is exactly what happens. Hard times create strong men, and then strong men create good times, and then good times create weak men. And right now, we're in that weak men cycle. I mean, everybody's so sensitive. It's getting to the point to where I'm so adamant about offending people. It's not because I want to be offensive or I like to be offensive. It's like I told you in our last episode with free speech. If you get offended by everything you don't like, then you need to open your eyes up and realize that maybe you're the problem. Maybe you shouldn't be getting offended so much over everything.
But who's the ones that are getting butthurt about everything? It's the Republicans. Think about this. Just think about this. When Trump was in office, and I hate to talk about Trump because he's a retard to me. Okay? But when Trump was in office, he had the thinnest skin of any president ever. You couldn't criticize him on anything. He'd get butthurt, cry about it. Go on a Twitter rant about it because somebody didn't agree with him or whatever. You know he's big on loyalty. He's big on ass kissing. And if you didn't kiss his butt,
he got offended on something
all the time.
Just like if you offend me or I get offended, the difference is you've just offended me. Life goes on. I don't sit there and try to cancel you and tear you down and try to
but that's you. I'm talking about
the
Republican Party.
Left does because
that's what the right
does.
I'm going to show you how the right does that. Okay. You go on the show on Fox. Okay. Now you're saying about talking about people. They talk about Biden all the time. You never hear Biden going on Twitter talking about Tucker Carlson or O'Reilly or Hannity.
Dude, because he can't talk. He probably can't really type either.
That's your opinion. But I'm saying he didn't. Every year since the 60s, there's been a White House correspondence. Okay? Trump didn't show up to any one of them because he didn't want to get roasted. All the presidents have gone through this since before we were born. And it's just a show of gathering of all the different media outlets, including Fox. They're there too. As a matter of fact, they just had one, and everybody that was in attendance was required to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and boosted to attend it. And all your boys was in there. Everybody you can name on Fox News was at that correspondence dinner just a few days ago. Just so you know. So
name someone from Fox News.
All their executives.
I can't even name anyone from Fox
all
News.
The top executives that run Fox were there.
You bring up Fox News.
The only ones that weren't there. The only ones that weren't there. The only ones that weren't there were the cowards of Fox News, like Hannity, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham. They were the only ones that didn't show. Those are the clowns of Fox.
It sounds to me like you're the fan of Fox News.
No, I hate Fox News.
I don't even watch Fox News. I don't even know any of the.
Then where do you get all your information from? Because they're the only ones spewing that stuff.
Mainstream media. No, they're not. The monstrosity dookie of crap that you are spewing out of your mouth is coming from liberal Democrats over on CNN, MSNBC, Hee Haw, NBC, and all that stuff.
Did he just equate?
But you keep bringing up vaccinations like you're
trying
I
was just giving you it as an example.
I could give two craps who's
they
vaccinated.
They kick their anti-vax stuff off, but undercover, they're all vaccinated. But they go on news. Care. But I'm saying that's the misinformation that they do.
Anybody on TV has and will always publicly say that they encourage you to get the vaccine. The only difference is the right just says, no, we don't think it should just be forced on you, where the left does. They think you should get the vaccine or you need to die or be locked up in jail. You know, that's the difference. I could care less who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated. I don't care if you go get 8 vaccinations and 19 boosters and wear 7 masks a day. I don't care.
Just so you know, you're getting upset about that. and I was
I'm
only
not.
making a point about
Tucker.
how they misinformed.
Should we rewind the tape?
Yeah,
You're the
we
one doing
can.
most of
We
the
can talk.
yelling.
We'll talk about it again because I'm gonna go back and forth with it. But I'm saying that how they misinformed the public against something that they willingly took,
Well,
and that's what I call hypocrisy. Okay, do you understand that?
they're not. Nobody is
That is.
misinforming anybody.
Oh, they were. Why do you think Fox News
I
was
think
getting
you.
sued?
I think you
Why do
have been
you think Fox
misinformed.
News was getting sued for the stuff that they were saying on air? Why do you think that?
Because of cancel culture.
Oh, cancel culture. Who
dude,
started? Who started
we're-
the cancel culture?
The left, and we're gonna have
We're
to
gonna-
do.
We're gonna have to have part two on this.
We're gonna do a whole episode on cancel
Oh,
culture.
we definitely gotta do one. And
But we are running out of
that's
time.
why I can't
So-
stand the Republicans. That cancel culture and
Yeah,
all
it's
that
what the left does.
LGBTQ stuff, man.
All right, we need to wrap this episode up.
Yeah,
We're running out
I'm
of time.
talking.
Oh man, I tell you what, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any comments, please leave us a comment. You know, if you like it, hit a like, subscribe to the channel. We'll have more episodes coming soon. I'm Jamal Jackson,
And I'm Tucker O'Reilly,
and
and
this
we're
is
the
the
Regular
Regular
Guys
Guys
Show.
Show.